Section 36 of the Expedition of Humphry Clinker. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Expedition of Humphry Clinker by Tobias Smollet. Section 36. To Mrs. Mary Jones at Brambleton Hall. Dear Mary Jones, Lady Griskin's butler, Mr. Crumb, having got Squire Barton to frank me a kiver, I would not neglect to let you know how it is with me and the rest of the family. I could not write by John Thomas, for because he went away in a huff at a minute's warning. He and Chowder could not agree, and so they fit upon the road, and Chowder bit his thumb, and he swore he would do him a mischief, and he spoke saucy to mistress, whereby the squire turned him off in a gudgeon. And by God's providence we picked up another footman, called Humphry Clinker, a good soul as ever broke bread, which shows that a scalded cat may prove a good mouser, and a hound be staunch, though he has got narrow hair on his buttocks. But the proudest nose may be brought to the grindstone by sickness and misfortunes. Oh, Molly, what shall I say of London? All the towns that ever I beheld in my born days are no more than Welsh barrows and crumlicks to this wonderful city. Even Bath itself is but a village, in the name of God. One would think there's no end of the streets but the Land's End. Then there's such power of people going hurry-scurry, such a racket of coxes, such a noise and hallaballoo, so many strange sights to be seen. Oh, gracious, my poor Welsh brain has been spinning like a top ever since I came hither. And I have seen the park, and the palace of St. Gimses, and the king's and the queen's magisterial pursing, and the sweet young princes, and the hillyfents, and Pi Baldas, and all the rest of the royal family. Last week I went with mistress to the Tower, to see the crowns and wild beastes. And there was a monstratious lion, with teeth half a quarter long, and a gentleman bid me not go near him if I wasn't a maid, being as how he would roar, and tear, and play the dickens. Now I had no mind to go near him, for I cannot abide such dangerous honey mills, not I. But mistress would go, and the beast kept such a roaring and bouncing, that I thought he would have broke his cage and devoured us all, and the gentleman tittered forsooth. But I'll go to death upon it, I will, that my lady is as good a furchin as the child unborn, and, therefore, either the gentleman told a fib, or the lion off to be set in the stocks for bearing false witness agin his neighbor, for the commandment saith, Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I was afterwards of a party at Sadler's Wells, where I saw such tumbling and dancing upon ropes and wires, that I was frightened and ready to go into a fit. I thought it was all enchantment, and, believing myself bewitched, began for to cry. You knows as how the witches in Wales fly upon broomsticks, but here was flying without any broomstick, or thing in this varsal world, and firing of pistols in the air, and blowing of trumpets, and swinging, and rolling of wheelbarrows upon a wire, God bless us, no thicker than a sewing thread. That, to be sure, they must deal with the devil. A fine gentleman with a pig's tail, and a golden sword by his side, came to comfort me, and offered for to treat me with a pint of wine. But I would not stay, and so, in going through the dark passage, he began to show his cloven foot, and went for to be rude. My fellow servant, Humphry Clinker, bid him be civil, and he gave the young man a douse on the chops, but, I fackins, Mr. Clinker wa'n't long in his debt. With a good oaken sapling he dusted his doublet, for all his golden cheese toaster, and, fipping me under his arm, carried me home, I knows not how, being I was in such a flustration. But, thank God, I'm now vaned from all such vanities, for what are all those rarities and vagaries to the glory that shall be revealed hereafter? O Molly, let not your poor heart be puffed up with vanity. I had almost forgot to tell you, that I have had my hair cut and pippered, and singed, and bolstered, and buckled, in the newest fashion, by a French freezer. Parlez-vous français? Oui, mademoiselle. I now carries my head higher than arrow private gentlewoman of Vales. Last night, coming home from the meeting, I was taken by lamplight for an eminent poulterer's daughter, a great beauty. But as I was saying, this is all vanity and vexation of spirit. The pleasures of London are no better than sour whey and stale cider, when compared to the joys of the New Jerusalem. Dear Mary Jones, and please God when I return, I'll bring you a new cap, with a turkey shell comb, and a pie house sermon that was preached in the tabernacle. And I pray of all, love, you will mind your writing and your spelling, for, craving your pardon, Molly, it made me sweat to decipher your last scrabble, which was delivered by the hind at Bath. O voman, voman, if thou hadst the least consumption of what pleasure we scullers have, when we can cunster the crabbedst buck off hand, and spell the ethnich words without looking at the primer. As for Mr Clinker, he is qualified to be a clerk to a parish. But I'll say no more. Remember me to Saul. Poor soul, it goes to my heart to think she don't yet know her letters. But in all God's good time. It shall go hard, but I will bring her the ABC and gingerbread, and that, you knows, will be learning to her taste. Mistress says we are going a long journey to the north, but go where we will, I shall ever be, dear Mary Jones, yours with true infection, Win. Jenkins, London, June 3. End of Section 36. Recording by Trisha G.